With barely 7 months left to the transition of grade 6 learners to junior secondary schools, a cloud of mystery surrounds the plans put in place to ensure a smooth transition. Parents, teachers, and a section of education stakeholders are raising questions regarding the issues of criteria to be used in transitioning the children, inadequate numbers of teachers, as well as matters infrastructure. Mogaka with more details.
For parents of the nearly 1.2 million learners in grade 6 at the moment, the next 6 months are very crucial, not because of the national assessment their children will undergo, but what exactly happens after that. And for those within the sector, the curtains have been drawn over the issue of grade 6 transition to join junior secondary.
There is still talk forth and back on whether some of the children will transit to primary schools while others transit to secondary schools, whether they are going to be day scholars or they are going to be boarders in secondary schools. I think that it is very late in the day for this conversation to be going on.
The confusion comes days after Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha released a statement saying that all the existing boarding and day secondary schools will admit learners from grade 6 to 7 under the CBC-based guidelines. A statement that sought to clarify an earlier statement by officials from the ministry that boarding facilities were not really needed, as junior secondary will be accommodated in day schools. The statement also read that the Ministry of Education had identified 1,500 primary schools that will host junior secondary school because they have adequate learning and teaching facilities. For education players, there is a problem.
At the moment, the teachers we are preparing for that transition are in secondary school. The investments that have been made in putting up classrooms have been made in secondary school. So the option of primary school does not really seem feasible because we haven't prepared primary schools for that.
At least 2.4 million learners will transition to junior secondary schools come January 2023. The Standard 8 cohort that will be writing their Kenya Certificate of Primary Education at the end of the year, as well as those currently in grade 6. For some teachers, despite the CBC training that is still ongoing countrywide, January will bring in new challenges for them.
We are aware that our institutions across the country are not equally endowed in terms of resources. And therefore it is imperative that the Ministry of Education must come up with a criteria on who joins which institution so that we avoid confusion and chaos.
Maswali mengine ibuka ni yale ya kwamba hao walimu watawapokea vipi kwa sababu hao wanafunzi wako na umri mchanga kabisa kuliko hao wengine ambao walikuwa wameshughulikia.
That notwithstanding, school heads have decried the high numbers of enrollment compared to the capacities their schools can hold. The current lot of students that joined Form 1 a week ago, a testament of that situation.
We are trying to put up a dome of around 1,500 capacity, but is far from done. And I want to indicate that the school population is going to be around 2,900, which is much above what we have. So there is going to be a serious issue of facilities within the school.
And with the grade 6 learners not expected to make a list of school choices like their Standard 8 counterparts.
Serikali itajuaje? Unaweza pata serikali labda watachukua mtoto wangu boarding school na sitaki aende boarding, wampeleke day na sitaki aende day school.
Tunaenda ama tunabaki kwa hiyo shule, hatujaona mjengo. Alafu tukienda kuuliza walimu mahali watoto watapelekwa baada ya junior primary, hawana mwelekeo.
The Ministry of Education had hinted that the performance of the grade 6 learners, that will be a combination of the assessments since grade 4, will be used as criteria to determine where the learners will be placed. However,
we need to validate those scores. Why do we need to validate them? Because TSC is evaluating teachers on the performance of learners. If TSC is evaluating teachers on the performance of learners, and then these same teachers are going to input grades that contribute to the final score of the learners, how reliable are those scores?
And with there being lots of contradictory statements and clear directions or plan regarding the said transition, for these parents and teachers, one thing is clear. There needs to be a plan for the expected chaos in the education system come January 2023. Mogaka, Citizen TV.